Hi guys. So I may have mentioned before, if you've been following my channel for a while, every year I make my mother-in-law a box of cards, and that's my Christmas gift to her. So I have these clear what are they called? Clear boxes, crystal clear boxes. And you can fit about 10 cards and envelopes in here. If you really make them thin, you could probably squeeze 12 in here. But every year, I make cards, put them in this box for her, and hand them to her for Christmas. And I try to make it a variety of cards, like happy birthday, sympathy, things like that. So I was just thinking, I want to do like a whole bunch. How can I make them look a little different? So the first thing I did was I grabbed this stamp set. This has always been a favorite of mine. It's been out a couple years. It is still current. It's called Flourishing Phrases. It's from Stampin' Up. It's page 35 of the current catalog. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I will link my link for you guys if you want to order it through me. I'd very much appreciate it. But I like this set because there's a lot of good sentiments for the outside of the card and the inside of the card. And then it has these kind of floral images you can use as well. But very, very nice sentiments in here. God wanted to brighten up the world, so he made you. With sympathy, praying that your heart will be lifted by the many loving thoughts that surround you today. Comfort and healing to you with warmth and caring for me. Just a note. I think it's more often than I say it, but I just want to make sure you know it. Congratulations, thank you, marriage. So a lot of good stuff on here, right? So I've already done is I know you guys love when I make the messy cards, but I love making rainbow colored cards. So I've already done some of this ahead of time. I know, Nancy's prepared for once. That never happens. So I have my little, we're going to do a couple different methods here. You can see I have my little non-stick craft mat here, just because I know this is going to get a little messy. So I'm going to open up my little spritz box here. And I already have one of the cards in here, and I don't know if you guys can see, I've already white heat embossed that little flower, and then this one just says, just a note. So I'm going to put that in our spritz box, and the first method I want to use, and these are all going to be the same method, just different kind of ink colors or media, is the Distress Oxide sprays. This is new for me to start playing with them. I just grabbed a couple of colors. I forgot green. And you want to shake these up very well. And just start spritzing away. Okay, so I'm going to start with picked raspberry. And I'm just kind of do like this rainbow spritz. And don't worry if it's too much like that. We can always lift it. I do have my paper towels. And then we're going to go in with a little bit of squeezed lemonade. And you could use your regular Distress as well. You can use re-inkers, watercolors, Distress stain. There's a lot of different mediums that we have access to that we can kind of color this up and make it look really pretty. That one was the Twisted Citron. Mermaid Lagoon. Oh, that's pretty dark. And then a little bit of Wilted Violet. I think I'll put that over here on this side. And you can see, even when you put the darker colors on top of the lighter colors, they don't mix. You don't lose any of the intensity. They just kind of layer on top of each other. There, I just put yellow on top of pink, and that looks really cool. Now, you may want to dry this or set it aside to dry. And I want to keep the heat tool moving because I've already heat embossed that, and I don't want to reheat the embossing powder, so that it gets sticky again. And you'll notice the more that it dries, the flatter your card's going to get. You also want to dry the back side. but it will flatten itself out the more you dry it. And then you can also take a paper towel and you can do the water droplet method where you just add some water droplets on there and let those sit a second. And then once they sit, they reactivate the ink, and you can lift the ink up and have those water droplet spots, which is pretty cool. And then you can buff away any of that extra ink that's on the white heat embossing. So this one's just a real muted look, but it's really pretty. And then we just matte that and put that on a card. So that one's the Distress Oxides. We're going to do another one. I think these other two we can do on the table here. All right. So that was method 1, Distress Oxide. And you can pick one and do several cards. I just wanted to give you guys different options here. Okay, so for this one, and by the way, I'm just using regular Neenah Solar White. I should be using heavier cardstock. Ideally, you should be using watercolor cardstock or mixed media cardstock. As long as you're not oversaturating these will be okay. All right, for the next one, we're going to go in with some sparkle, and I grabbed a couple of the Spectrum Noir Sparkle Glimmer inks. You can also use the watercolor brushes or the sparkle brushes if you have those. This is the same kind of thing. For this one, I'm going to spray with my mister and lightly mist my paper. And then I'm just going to grab a water brush. And you want to make sure that these are pretty well shaken up so that you can get the colors out of the pots pretty easily. And for this one, I have Cosmos, which is a bright hot pink. And I'm basically going to very messily kind of color in my flower. And because it's already wet, it will kind of spread that color around. You don't necessarily have to stay in the lines. I think it looks more authentic if you give it kind of that sloppy watercolor look. Actually, I'm just going to do spots of color because I didn't grab my green. So we're just going to go like this. And probably should have wet this some more because I really want that color to spread around. This is where a mixed media cardstock or, here we go, or a watercolor cardstock will work better than this cardstock. But that's okay. We're going to use what we got here. So that's pretty well saturated. I'm going to move on to the next color here. I swear these brushes suck. I'm not buying them again. Actually, I think they sent those to me, but if I did buy them, I would definitely return them. Okay, I'm going to go into this golden yellow, which is called Candlelight. And just dripping that color in, and what it will do is it will spread itself out. I like that. And then for the last one, it's this light blue called Moonstone. This one we definitely need to dry because it's going to oversaturate the paper and pill up. So we want to be careful with this one. Got a lot of water on this one. All right. I'm going to set that one aside. We're going to have to heat that one with the heat tool. Move those out of the way. Okay, and then the last way is with using your color crystals, your brushos powders. There's a lot of different companies out on the market. And for this one, we also want to kind of pre-saturate. And I'm just going to go in and start sprinkling some powders on. This one's called Alzarian Crimson. I've already got it on my hands. And I just poke a little hole in the top. You can see I've kind of swatched my color on the roof there. Some gamboge. Actually have orange here. Now, it looks like there's nothing happening, but the magic with this is when you re-wet it. And I'm just doing a rainbow variety of colors here. Okay, now the fun part. You can definitely do monotone. You don't have to do rainbow colors like I did. Let me show you the beginning process of that, how I got there, because it's really simple to do. So again, you just want to start with your cardstock, which I already have pre-cut. And then I have the large flower stamp that I'm going to ink up with VersaFine. Before I do that, we want our embossing powder. And then we're going to ink our stamp up. And I like bringing it off the page here, off the top. And you want to grab one of your sentiments. One of them did not come out very well. I think it's this one back here. Yeah, that was the thank you sentiment. Same thing, ink that up. And when you're doing mass production, you can do all of these at once. Like do all of your stamping first. Then you're going to go through and heat emboss it with white embossing powder. I am using the alabaster white. It's super fine. This is from Brutus Monroe. And you can see, and you can use clear, you can use any color embossing powder. I just like this white. So then you would go through and do all of your stamping first, then go and do all of your heat embossing. These again just because I think they came out super pretty, but I'm only gonna do like, let's just do warm colors. So we'll just do like red, orange, and yellow this time. I like to pre-spritz my paper just because then it holds on to the crystals until I can saturate them. So I'm just gonna do some orange, gamboge. Just do warm colors on this one. Some red. Okay, let's just use those three colors and see how this turns out. Then we're going to go back in and spray it again. And I like the fine mister on there. And if you don't think you have enough color, go in and add some more color. You can always layer more color on there. This is fun because you never know what you're going to get. Now you can also make kind of like watercolors out of these crystals. You can certainly put the crystals down onto a palette or on your craft mat and then use a brush and move the color around that way if you want to be more traditional. But I like this fun abstract look here because, like I said, you never know what you're going to get. Okay, now I have some blank spots on here, and what I can do is reuse some of the color that's down there and just kind of smush into some of that color. Get that added on there. See how much more that brightens it up, and then heat it up some more. The other thing you can do is you can use your regular ink pads. You can just take your ink pads, do the smush method, put them down on the craft mat, water them down, smush into them, and do the same thing. But it's once you have a good sentiment and a good image, it just looks really pretty. I would mat these on black and then put them on white cards. Even this one, I need to dry it a little bit, but the shimmer's in there. On this one, what had happened was I didn't get to the embossing powder quick enough. So it did stamp the words in Versamark there, but I was able to wipe the powder off. So what I'll do is I will go back in once it's completely dry and re-stamp that in black. And you will never know that that was a mistake. It's still a little damp, but we'll see how we do here. And if that doesn't work, I'll cut it into a banner and cover it up. There you go. And then I would just mount them all, like I said, on black cardstock and then make sure I fully adhere them down, and then stamp whatever sentiments need to be done on the inside. A lot of times I leave the cards that I give her blank. I might put a couple sequins on here, but this makes a really easy set, and they're all different, yet they're all from the same stamp set. So I just want to show you guys you can mass produce some cards, just having a good stamp set and just doing that simple heat emboss resist. I'll probably add a little more color to this one so you can see everything. And there we go. So if you have any questions, post them down below. I will link the stamp set for you and everything I've used. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.